Hi. First, I want to say thank you so much for
influencing me to my alignment, which I was already clearly in the vicinity of, or I wouldn't have recognized it so easily.
Which I was already clearly in the vicinity of, or else I wouldn't have recognized so easily. And for your humor and
perfection. We have enjoyed this interaction immensely. It feels good to offer a compliment that you mean, doesn't it? Feels really good. Anytime you can find anything that you really mean, say it out loud if it feels good while you're saying it. It's the best way to practice a high-flying vibration. Keep it going.
So, I too don't know exactly what questions to ask, but I do know that I've been practicing with you for I don't know how long of a time. Ever.
Forever.
And I was always thinking that it was the meditation was what was the pinnacle of the whole thing. And during this
cruise,
it
was the nap.
It was the nap. So,
Well, don't take one now. This is actually about as good as it gets.
And I guess the question that I wanted to ask was, I know now that my job is to continue to find the very best feeling experience and to continue to focus on that high-flying disc and I have practice at doing that and I love that job. I love that job and I will continue to do that. And the question that came up for me was, when I go to sleep at night, I find myself traveling to other places and doing healings every which where. And I wanted to find out, what is my job going to be after I croak? And I don't know if it's important for me to know that or not, but that was the question that came up for me.
There are two things that we want to say to you. First is that when you are having dreams that are vivid and that are consistent on a subject that is frequent, it's an indication that, because your dream is a creation too, in your dream state, what you're thinking and feeling and what's manifesting in your dream is because of law of attraction. In other words, by the time you're dreaming it consistently, it means you've got a really good, steady vibration about that going on. So it's a sort of advanced announcement of the kinds of things that are happening in your wake state too. Now, you are wondering if it means something that's going to happen after you make your reemergence. And we want you to understand that these dreams aren't about that. These dreams are about what's going on in this physical experience. So, helpful?
Yes.
You like knowing that? What you will be doing once you make your transition is eagerly participating in all of this. We always like having this conversation because physical friends, even those of you who have been hanging around with us for a while, have such a distorted view of what non-physical, meaning those like us, and physical is. For the most part, humans have, in their lack of appreciation of themselves, and because of their lack of appreciation for other fellow humans, they have been pigeonholing and defining and cataloging and condemning, sort of not all that pleased with humanity. So humans have sort of coached themselves into a overall feeling of inferiority, because you just can't focus negatively upon yourself or others without diminishing your alignment. And when you diminish your alignment, you don't feel so good. And so then they prop what they believe source is up onto this high pedestal in comparison with how they feel about themselves. And then they begin to speak of the hereafter as something that is so much better than now. Humans don't understand that we are all in this together, and that you are extensions of that which is source, and that as you explore here, that you are leading source into new places, that there is a cycle of life that is more than just the physical bodies rotating through this physical time-space reality, that there's this non-physical energy or current or attention or focus or consciousness or beingness who is focused through each and every one of you. And so when you explore and come to a new conclusion of what you want and allow source to flow through you to that, and then you manage to bring yourself in your human focused form into vibrational alignment with that new expanded version of you, you are actually leading source into that new place. You're not following source. You're not waiting for something after death. You are allowing something while you are here physically focused to be, you see. So all of us are enjoying our interaction with you. What Esther provides is a more vivid example of our ability to co-create with you in a way that is more obvious to you. But literally, every emotion that you feel is your acknowledgement, if you're paying attention, not subconscious or unconscious, but acknowledgement if you're paying attention, of how much awareness, self-awareness you are allowing in this moment of your connection with all of that. Esther's been having just a remarkable experience as Jerry has made his transition, because at first it was so unpleasant for her, and she missed him so much because she was accustomed to him in the personality, in the beingness that was him. And so it took her a little while to find him. It took her a little while to tune herself, when she was focused upon him, to a frequency of high flying. She could fly high, but when she would think about him, she would miss him and she wouldn't fly high. And then she would fly high, and then she would think about him and she would miss him and she wouldn't fly high. So she couldn't really find him. She wasn't rendezvousing with him as he now is. It took her a little while, but once she started rendezvousing with him as he now is, she became aware that while it was always sweet for them to walk through the streets of new cities holding hands, and while it was fun for them to travel in the bus and to discover new things together in this work, and while they were so often together enjoying physical experiences, that they were often not together, that they weren't mind on mind, that they weren't blended in a mental sense, that they weren't always tuned in, tapped in, turned on. And now she's discovered that since he is always there, when she finds herself there and blends with him, the combination, the knowingness, the feeling of who he is, the clarity of what he's thinking about, the motion of his, even the way sometimes she finds herself tapping her foot. She knows it is him tapping her foot. The other day, music was playing. She was in a restaurant with friends. Her feet were sort of doubled up under her, as he often did when he was sitting like that. And her foot began moving to the music. Now, that's not an unusual thing for your foot to tap to the beat of the music. But she realized in that moment that it was him tapping to the beat of the music. And she felt such exhilaration as she realized that meant he was here with her, hearing her music. He wasn't tapping to the beat of his music. He was tapping to the beat of her music. He wasn't tapping to the beat of former music. He wasn't tapping to the beat of future music. He was tapping to the beat of now music in her world. The music that was coming into her ears was also coming into his senses. It was yet another way of him letting her know, I'm right here, right now, tuned in, tapped in, turned on with you, interested in this thought, interested in this discussion, interested in these friends, interested in this movement, interested in this life, interested in this leading edge experience, in this time-space reality, in this time, in this now time, in this space, in this now space, you see, you don't croak and go someplace else. You croak and change vibrations, which makes you inaccessible to most people who don't go to that high-flying place. Can you imagine the fun we have playing with those like you who tuned to that high frequency? Can you imagine the exhilaration we feel when you get what we mean? Can you imagine the exhilaration we feel when you set it up, you launch the rocket, you're not in alignment, we watch you find alignment, and then we rendezvous with you because you know what we know? That's the truest of all satisfactions. Your heart is happiest because you are in alignment with our heart that is happy. Are you following that?
And I feel the ecstasy when that happens.
So when you reemerge into non-physical, you just get to play that game from a different vantage point. But it's still the same game, and it's still way fun. Enough? Now what?